Still on the Brussels donor conference, I spoke to the Gambia Permanent Secretary at Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, Mr. Lamin Camara, who joined me live from Brussels earlier in today on the Brussels pledges. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
First, I ask your reaction to the EU and donor partners' financial pledge to the Gambia.
Yes, it has been a very joyous day for the Gambians, including the president, after the pledges, because our expectation, actually we are expecting to pull something, but to get above 1.6 billion was really a marvelous performance. We came to the conference with $1.6 billion financing. For our NDB priority projects, which are about 21. Of course, there are others, 1 to 40. And eventually, we had a pledge of 1.7 billion US dollars. And we saw of the 1.7 billion, about 700 million to 800 million are all grants. This is interesting and it's great, because that is unprecedented as far as the country is concerned. Having a roundtable where we are able to mobilize close to $800 million grant. Because of the pledges, we saw World Bank pledging about 300 million grant. We also saw the EU pledging about 365 million. And African Development Bank pledges about 100 million. And with some other country pledges amounting to our $700 million grants in the grant form. But when it comes to the loan, we saw IDB coming very big. Pledging about $600 million, of which $300 million is for trade financing. Because IDB usually, through their ITFC, the trade financing window, they normally finance the purchase of groundnut in the Gambia. Providing light fuel for NAVEC, providing heavy fuel, light fuel for GNPC and heavy fuel for NAVEC. So that part of it is about 200 million. We also saw Badia. One of our good traditional Arab creditor also pledging about $200 million dollars. So by and large, we saw Japan, not pledging, Canada, USA, DFID, and other bilateral countries also coming up to give their support. Some actually pledge, but others no pledge, given their budgetary situation. And we are hopeful that even for those who did not pledge, would eventually join the bandwagon.
Okay, what are some of the conditions placed on the financing?
Okay, the conditions for the grants are not much, because usually, much familiar with grant financing for World Bank, EU, and ADB. Currently, even for World Bank, we have already signed 2 projects out of the grants. They have pledged. We signed a month ago about $30 billion project for education. And 2 days back during the conference, we also signed a $41 million solar project. So we find that if we meet the requirements with good, we can always access the grants. Now, for the loans, the issues are because Gambia is currently, highly indebted country. We would contract the loans, but a lot of care has to be taken in terms of contracting loans that would worsen our debt situation. So we would rather go for more concessional facilities. On the grant side, we should be able to access the funds because, as I said, we are familiar with accessing funds with ADB. Usually, these are institutions that we have programs with. Like for ADB, we have what is called ADF 14 program. And these programs normally are implemented through design of projects and implement those projects. EU too, we have projects to design as per our NDP priorities, as well as the World Bank. Because like I said, for the World Bank, we have even started implementing part of these pledges that they are pledged. Last month, we signed the education project over 30 million for education. And just 2 days back, during this pledging session, we also signed another 41 million out of what they pledged for the energy sector on a solar energy. We also saw with the EU, I mean, as part of the pledge that they did, we have already a project that is on the ground. That is the Youth Empowerment Project. So accessing the funds in terms of conditionalities is not very stringent with the grants. For the case of the loans, like I said, because of our debt distress situation, I mean, we'll have to be, careful in terms of the terms that have been given for the loan side. By and large, we want to go for highly concessional loan facilities, about 50% grant element.
How did you project Gambia's development shape if this pledge finally got into Gambia's hands?
Well, this is going to take the Gambia to another level. Like you know, this new government started, with the situation where you can say the country was actually bankrupt, given our reserve level, given our economy in totality. So, but with this intervention and pledges, I think we should be able to do a lot of development as far as the country is concerned. Just take, for example, the 700 million grant, and if every dollar or every dollar of the pledge is put into any very meaningful things, we shall see a lot of things coming up in terms of growth level, in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of our social. Because if you look at the NDP itself, it is in 4 categories in terms of financing. We have the governance part, we have the human capital part, we have the agri and fishery part, and we have the energy and infrastructure part. And if we can address, all these projects through the financing that we just generated, I think we shall see a different Gambia, and a very promising Gambia for that matter.
That was Gambia's Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs talking to me earlier.
Farm Fresh, Farm Fresh, Farm Fresh, Farm Fresh. Farm Fresh, li marché bu nga xamné la ñun ñepp ko yor. Képp ku am téléphone am internet rek mun nga fa jëndé ak www.farmfresh.gm mun nga fa tane jënd lépp li nga bëgg ya xam nduga bi lu munti doon. Jën, nen la, légume la, ganaar la, lépp lu munti doon. Farm Fresh, Farm Fresh. Buñ la musa jaay dara lu lax, lépp luñ lay jaay rek lu fresh la may doon. Té li yépp nak ci biir réew mi lañ koy liggéeyé. Li dara gënu ko neex. Mun nga jënd saa yu la neexé ak fo munti nekk ñu indil la ko ba sa buntu kër. Si njëg bu gëna yomb. Képp ko bëgg jokkoo ak ñun 8906 592 wala 677 602